It's paint. It's players. It's colorful. And in your face. Paintballs. Paintball players, the best in the world, gathered in Orlando for the World Paintball Championships. We're set for Game 4 in the opening round. Let's go to Fred Schultz with the teams.
I'm here right now with Team Nemisis from Florida. Ronnie, how you doing, big guy?
All right, Fred,
All
yourself?
Right. Not too bad. Maybe you can give the people out there a little insight of what you guys are going to do, what your game plan is now.
Well, basically, we're going to try to get as much ground as we possibly can. We're going to pay special attention over here to the left side, and we're going to try to pound them in, get a couple of first eliminations right off the bat, and then from there, we're just going to do the push that we talked about earlier yesterday.
Why don't you go ahead and give us an Avalanche cheer, and we wish you guys a lot of luck.
All right, guys.
Come on, baby. Let's get in here. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What are you going to do? Run. Yeah.
There's the start. Nemisis in blue coming from the left. From the right in white with red trim. Avalanche out of Colorado. They're sprinting for position. As we look across midfield, Avalanche hunkered down a couple of rows back for most of them, Jerry Braun.
Both teams look like they're ready for in-your-face paintball. Chewed up a lot of ground.
He made it in the middle bunker. Lasoya.
Chip Brashear is calling out information to his Avalanche teammates. Glenn Forster of the farthest up for the Avalanche club, being checked by an official for paint. He's okay.
Mikey! He made it in the middle bunker!
Here's how you score in this game. 10 men on each side. You get 4 for each opponent you eliminate. You get 10 for pulling your opponent's flag first, 50 more for hanging it back in your own flag station, and for every minute under the full 20 of the game is scheduled that you get the flag hung, you get 10 additional points for a total possibly of 200.
Both teams are set up well. They're in a good layered defensive position. They both have offensive capability. We got to see them, who gets the angles on the other, who can create the soft spots and the gaps in the other team's line.
Chip Brashear is moving up for Avalanche in the defensive end. You can tell by the solid red bunker. Now the striped red and white bunker means that's the front portion. The striped white and blue in the front there. As we take a look at Dave Spurlock for Nemisis. And to his left, Rocky Cagnoni. They would appear to be the farthest up, at least on the right side. Defenseman Phil Dominguez for Avalanche doing some squeegeeing on his paintball marker. Back in the defensive end. And for Nemisis, Jerry Olmstead standing. Nemisis with the wind at its back. So he's able to walk around the back of the area, Jerry.
Well, you can see Nemisis is layered very, very nicely. They have some players up front, good layered defense, practically mirrored by Avalanche. Again, Avalanche have 2 players fairly up front, fairly close to the middle, with a good layered defense behind them.
No score so far in this game between Nemisis and Avalanche. We take a look at Ed Foreman, the Avalanche captain, about 15 yards back from midfield. The white bunker's there in midfield. Playing out so far as a defensive game, I'd say, Jerry.
Right now, after the initial move at the beginning of the game, everybody is pretty static. They are trying to, through throwing a lot of paint, create holes in the opposition's defense.
And now some paint has hit the mark for the first time. There is the first player eliminated. Chris Lasoya of Avalanche raises his marker and leaves the field, making the score 4 for Nemisis and 0 for Avalanche.
Hey, right in the middle. Okay, right in the middle. Probably about 20 yards.
Jerry Olmstead far back in his territory.
And there is Chris Cole for Avalanche being checked for paint behind that double bunker. He's clean, ready to go. Still well before the 5-minute mark, so only the forwards may cross midfield. Nobody is going to try that just yet. Let's go to the sidelines. Fred Schultz with the first player to be eliminated.
Wow, what happened out there, man?
Well, they were the wind was in their favor, and the balls are just. I'm trying to get the angles on them. The balls are just falling right on top of me, and I caught one in the gun right there.
You were quite a ways up too, though.
Yeah, I was, but it was pretty interesting how the balls. So the wind is just outrageous out there.
The field's a mirror image, one side, as we say, looking like the other. So the wind might be something of an advantage, as Chris Lasoya points out. 4-0, Nemesis leads. The 1996 World Paintball Championships are brought to you by Paintball Sports Magazine. From pickup games to tournaments, novice players and champions alike read Paintball Sports Magazine. Game 4 going in the first round of the World Paintball Championships here in Orlando. Hello, everybody. I'm John Nicholson, along with Jerry Braun, managing editor of Paintball Sports Magazine. Jerry, Avalanche out of Colorado and Nebraska against Nemesis from South Florida, 9th seed versus 4.
Yeah, but you have two teams that are well matched up. They're both very, very fast, very, very aggressive. I expect a lot of action in this game.
Let's think about this, Jerry. The men behind these masks, who plays paintball?
There is no stereotypical player. You've got people who own their own businesses in computers. You've got firemen. You've got police officers. You've got carpenters. You've got engineers. You've got printers. You've got just everybody.
Everybody. That would be the ticket. All right, Jerry, let's get back to the action now. Avalanche against Nemesis. As we look at Paul McKay, known as the Fridge, for obvious reasons, I guess, Jerry.
Big man, great player, fireman, and professional.
Here's a look at who is farthest up for each team.
And you've got your Nemesis player, 20 yards from the midfield line, facing his counterpart, Glenn Forster from Avalanche. Again, about 20 yards from the midfield line.
Shoot 70! Yes, shoot 70!
Mark Emmerich on the defensive end for Nemesis, calling out information to his teammates almost 500 feet away, the opposite end. Paul McKay, Fridge for Avalanche, patrolling the back tape near the flag station.
Yeah, get right close to him on the side. Hold up, on this wire. Jerry, they gotta come to us now.
There is the 5-minute horn. 5 minutes have passed in this game. The total time will be 20 minutes if there is no flag pull and hang. And at this point, Nemesis leads it 4-0.
The John's checking him, Jerry. Get him out of John.
Mark Emmerich back in his own territory.
There's the answer to the question, is your Fridge running? Paul McKay moves up for Avalanche, and another big man, Phil Dominguez. Still, though, in the back quarter. Long balling there, the Fridge.
More like short balling the way that thing flopped out.
Exactly. Now we look at a little squeegee work being done by an Avalanche player. This is what happens sometimes, Jerry.
There are no timeouts in paintball, John. They got to keep their equipment finely tuned.
And there is another Avalanche player out of there, number 25, Glenn Forster, making it Nemesis 8 and Avalanche nothing. Looks like he's still taking a paintball or two as he heads off the field, Glenn Forster does.
And that's a problem now for Avalanche. Glenn was the furthest player up. He was their offensive capability. They're in a defensive position, and now it's up to Nemesis to make something happen.
The field is 500 feet long, 200 feet wide. The striped bunkers indicate the front quarter of your own area if they match your jersey, in this case the blue and white. Solid colors in the back quarter of your area so you can tell just where the players are by the bunkers they're behind. The bunkers, by the way, are shorter in the back. He's not bored, is he? Pete Weisberg doing some squeegee work now for Nemesis. Let's take a look at how the teams are set up right now, Jerry.
Avalanche lost their front players in Lasoya and Forster. They're back. Nemesis still have their front players up, but they also, for the most part, are on their back line.
There's Pete Weisberg moving up at the defensive end for Nemesis. And a reload by Avalanche. A lot of paint being thrown around, Jerry, with the score still only 8-0. There's some of it being banged right off the bunker. You've got to make yourself small behind those bunkers, or you make yourself a target. Hey, here is the ref wiping something off of Ed Foreman. What's going on there, Jerry?
Well, Ed has splatter. He was not directly hit, but paint splattered on him. The ref is cleaning him off. There's Ronnie Howell way, way back in his territory, squeegeeing his marker.
Again, Nemesis with the wind at its back, and so therefore Ronnie can stand with impunity, not worrying about getting long balled. I guess if you had one, you could see it coming.
Rocky Cagnoni's making himself small there too, John, but he's way up front. He's going to be taking the heat from the Avalanche players. Avalanche, to have any chance at Nemisis's flag, have got to create a hole. The first thing they've got to do is they've got to take out the Nemisis front line. Nemisis has already taken out the front line of Avalanche.
A message on Mike Campbell's tank. Losing is not good. Well, that's not exactly what it says. There's a look at Mike. Nemisis is looking to pick somebody off. Still plenty of time in this contest. Game 4 in the opening round. One team will move on. One will go home from the World Paintball Championships, and we'll be back with more action in just a moment.
All right, I'm here right now with Steve Moore. Steve is involved with the actual manufacturing of the paintball. How you doing, Steve?
Good, Fred.
Maybe you can give the people out there just a little bit of insight into the paintball itself, because I understand when they were first made that they were made with an oil-based paint.
Yeah, the first paintballs were made for marking cattle and trees.
Oh, is that right? And then it's evolved to playing the sport of paintball with it now, huh?
Yeah.
I guess right now they don't make them out of oil-based anymore, though. Is that right?
No, right now it's we use a water-soluble paint, like a water-based paint. You throw after you get hit, you throw your camels or your clothes into the wash, and it dissolves. It's gone.
How about for the environment itself? Is it totally biodegradable?
Yep, it 100%.
Oh, so it's environmentally safe all the way around,
yep,
then, huh?
breaks right down and is absorbed by the earth.
We are nearing the 10-minute mark. 9th seeded Avalanche here, trailing 4th seeded Nemisis 8-0. Chip Brashear is looking over the field for Avalanche. There's the 10-minute horn, and let's take a look at how they are arranged right now. The score is still 8-0.
Avalanche is well back. They are in a defensive position. They're waiting for Nemisis to do something, hopes that they stop him and can counterpunch.
This is the point now after the 10-minute horn when anybody on any team can cross midfield and go anywhere. But as we see, Avalanche not likely to do that. Ronnie Howell firing from the back of his defensive zone for Nemesis. This tournament started out with 12 teams from across the U.S. and Great Britain. In this first round, 6 games, 6 teams advance, 6 teams go home. In the second round, you add the points gained here to the points you get in your second game. And the 3 teams scoring highest for the first 2 go on to a round-robin 3-game final. Top point getter in the round-robin final gets the trophy. Little housework there by the official, Jerry.
And John, that housework is important. The referee is kicking away paintball so that Phil Dominguez does not lean on them and doesn't look like he has been marked. And like you said, 6 go on, 6 go home. But the 6 that go on have to go on with points. And the big points are in flag captures and flag hangs. You can only get 40 points at most by eliminating all 10 players of the opposition. The other points come from flag pulls, hangs, and time remaining when the flag is hung. So things have got to happen. Each team knows it. Each team's trying.
The Turtles won the first game with 120 points. The Houston Heat won the second with 140, but the All-Americans had only 24 in winning the third game. So the Heat, the Turtles, and the All-Americans will move on, but the All-Americans behind the 8 ball. If this game continues as is with no flag hang, as you say, Jerry, whoever wins it still has a terrible disadvantage in the second round. We look from the back of Nemesis defensive end, the solid blue bunkers, forward to their players, and now from the back of the defensive end of Avalanche. There is Mark Emmerich moving over to the far wire on the defensive end for Nemesis.
Mark is trying to get an angle on Avalanche players. Nemesis has already shot out the 2 front men of Avalanche. They are trying to create a soft spot in the defensive line of Avalanche, and Mark, by moving to the far tape line, is trying to get an angle on Avalanche players.
You want to have your equipment ready when and if it is time to make the move. Look at all the canisters on the ground behind Ed Foreman for the Avalanche. He has thrown a lot of paintballs as a few bounce by him.
There goes Chip Brashears of Avalanche moving up.
But still in his own defensive end, still looking for angles. By the way, if you're wondering at home, each player carries up to 2,500 paintballs. As Fridge does some house cleaning. Avalanche still trailing 8-0 to Nemesis. As we are winding down here, somebody, if there's going to be a move, ought to make that move fairly quickly. We'll be back. We're back with a visit to the Fridge. Paul McKay in the defensive end for Avalanche. They trail 8-0 to Nemesis as we wind down in this contest. Game 4 of the opening round of the World Paintball Championships. Let's check the positions.
You have Nemisis in a good position. They've got defense, but they've also got forward players who have some offensive capability. Avalanche, on the other hand, did not move players to the front line. They are back. They are in a strictly defensive position. I got to tell you now, John, though, both teams have got to start becoming concerned with that clock. They've got to make something happen if they're going to score a lot of points.
If Nemesis comes, does it make them more vulnerable? Is that perhaps what Avalanche is counting on, Jerry?
That's about all that Avalanche can count on now, because they are not in a position to make the move themselves. Nemesis is in a great position across the field, having good angles on anybody that tries to push the middle. If Avalanche tries to push the middle, they're going to get cut to ribbons, but they're trying on the far tape line.
We just heard a hollering of signals out there. GB30 centering in on a particular bunker, Jerry.
John, each team has a code, so they can communicate with each other and the other team not knowing what they're saying or what they're thinking.
And there is the first Nemesis player to be eliminated. That is number 00, Heath Thornton, making the score now 8-4 in favor of Nemesis. How much does that change things, Jerry, with somebody out?
Nemesis still has control of the field in terms of fire lanes, but Avalanche is getting aggressive, and with Heath Thornton out, they're starting to put heat on the far tape of Nemesis. If they can get a couple of people out on that far tape line, they may be able to move. Avalanche right now is trying to make things happen.
We just got to look at pretty wide open spaces there at midfield. Little lobbying there saying, hey, ref, check his foot. The refs will, but the refs, thank you, will make the calls. Including how much time there is left in this game. We're getting pretty close if somebody's going to make a move.
Mike Campbell throwing paint, taking heat.
And 3:20 left is what we just heard called. 3:20 left until the final horn. The score is still 8-4 Nemesis.
Look at those paintballs coming in.
And that changes the score. Pete Weisberg is out of there for Nemesis. It's now tied at 8-8. Avalanche, which was down 8-0, ties the score.
And Pete was hit from way back.
Now here's somebody speaking of back, Jerry, lying down on his back. What's the strategy there?
That's Chris Cole, great bunker player. He's making himself small because really all the opposition players can see, literally, the soles of his feet.
Jimmy Minich there for Nemesis, peering around the bunker. He's in the more traditional situation, on his knees, peering around both sides.
He's trying to get a target. He's trying to get an angle. They got to start feeling the pressure at time now, John. It's winding down. Nobody's making a move. If it doesn't happen, the team that goes on is going to be a big, big hole.
Rocky Cagnoni around the bunker.
Come on, baby! The Avalanche is putting some heat on Rocky Cagnoni.
The heat coming from up there on the far wire. Meanwhile, here is Jimmy Minich communicating with his Nemesis teammates who now find themselves tied with Avalanche after having an early lead. As you say, Jerry, you don't want to go into the second round with not a lot of points. On the other hand, you don't want to go home. As we take a look at Chris Harris, number 44 for Avalanche. And there is why Chris Harris is so psyched. Pete Pino is gone for Nemisis. For the first time, Avalanche leads this game by a score of 12-8. Dave Spurlock moving up and dodging paintballs for Nemisis. Now, it would appear that Avalanche would have the advantage.
And Avalanche eliminated Pino. There's another one.
And that is Rocky Cagnoni out of there, giving Avalanche a 16-8 lead over Nemisis. Now the underdog Avalanche with the advantage, but time again is running down for either side to make a run for the flag.
And Avalanche, by eliminating Pino, eliminated the far tape capability of Nemisis. They've eliminated Rocky Cagnoni. They've taken out a front line man. Now they're starting to move.
Mikey Bennett up to the midfield bunker on the far tape for Avalanche. There is Mikey peering around, looking for the angle. And the fridge now is up in the offensive quarter for the Avalanche. Patterson for the defense now, and Nemisis also moving up as Mikey Bennett fires away. Chip Brashear's making the move to midfield, but there is the final horn, and on the right, Phil Dominguez is out for Avalanche. Across the field, Ronnie Howell is gone for Nemisis just before the closing horn. It's going to depend upon how many survived and how many are counted out as the officials check for paint to come to the final total. No flag hung, no flag pulled. We'll be back with the final score.
All right, we have the captain of Avalanche right here right now. Boy, that was a heck of a game there, man.
It's hard from this side.
Yeah, hard because of the wind?
Yeah, the wind.
Yeah, because the field
Wind's
was
killer.
really set up good.
Yeah, the field's even, it's just the wind.
Yeah.
You have to shoot 5 feet to the left and hope that it goes in. Yeah.
Do you think you won this one? Do you
I
have it on
think we
body
won.
count?
I think we had it on body count.
Did you? All right. Well,
So we'll move on, I hope.
And the officials are determining that. You can see the counting going on. Let's get back to Fred as he talks with Nemesis captain Ronnie Howell.
Ronnie Howe, Team Nemisis. What happened out there, Ronnie? You guys had to win your back.
They set up a good formation. They stayed back far enough, so we had to really use the wind. And they just used the cover really well. We couldn't get any shots off on them.
We're not sure yet, but do you think they got you on body count? Or?
I think they may have got us by 1 or 2, I'm not sure.
The 1996 World Paintball Championships are brought to you by Westgate Resort. Over 1,000 suites in the Orlando area, minutes away from all area attractions. And by Paintball Sports Magazine, game sites, stores, equipment, special events, the first and last word in paintball all over the world. Indeed, Avalanche has pulled off the upset, winning it by a score of 20-12 over Nemisis. Our next game, nobody's team from Georgia, seeded number 8, taking out another Florida team, Rage, the 5th seed in this World Paintball Championship tournament. Everybody heading for the trophy. That'll be next time. For now, for Fred Schultz and Jerry Braun, I'm John Nicholson. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.